There's a sermon I've been wanting to give for a while now about what sociologists call the third place in our society. A place where people spend their time that is neither work or school, for those of you who go to school, neither work or home. Places like gyms or bars or churches and synagogues. And before I dive in too far, I wanted to invite our first graders, or really anybody that's in like fourth grade or younger, to head out into the social hall to have a program with Jason, with our first grade teachers, Jason and Renee. Thank you both for being here.
Look here.
So this idea of a third place, right? A place that is neither work nor school. Places like gyms or bars or churches and synagogues. A third place, like this place, Betham, is where we go to build community, to be uplifted, to foster a sense of purpose and belonging, and personal exploration with others. It's where we go to connect with others beyond our families or our coworkers, to make meaning and feel supported. Certainly, as we emerge from these last 2 years of pandemic, we need places like this now more than ever. But instead, here we are again, feeling knocked off kilter, more afraid and isolated as Jews and those connected to the Jewish community, by another piling up of disturbing acts of anti-Semitism over the last few weeks. As one of your rabbis, I felt compelled to respond. In recent weeks, there have been a series of attempts to push through anti-Semitic measures, thinly veiled as restriction on Zionists on college campuses across the country. The University of Montana at Wellesley, and closer to home, Berkeley's Law School. There were the tweets of Kanye West, whose legal name is now Ye, spouting ages-old anti-Semitic tropes on Twitter to a following of more than 30 million people, double the number of Jews in the world. Last week in my hometown of Los Angeles, a group of neo-Nazis hung banners over the 405 freeway echoing Ye's tweets about the secret Jewish agenda, and flyers spread throughout LA accusing Jews of being the masterminds behind the COVID-19 pandemic. And this Shabbat, we also mark the 4th anniversary of the horrific shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, in which one gunman, fueled by these ancient tropes of hatred, took the lives of 11 of our brothers and sisters. In the Talmud, we read that if one takes a life, it is as if they have destroyed the entire world. And on that Shabbat morning in late October of 2018, 11 worlds were destroyed, sending shockwaves of heartbreak and fear and pain throughout the Jewish world. Rabbi Sharon Brous, in a message to her community this week, wrote that James Carroll once described anti-Semitism as the bug in the software of the West, an insidious, ever-present glitch in the system that excludes Jews from moral concern and too often paves the way for terrible violence. The conspiracy theory of Jewish power is a dangerous lie, one that has fueled pogroms, expulsions, and ultimately genocide. Anti-Semitism is a bellwether for the health of a society, writes Rabbi Brous. When anti-Semitism thrives, racism thrives. When anti-Semitic language proliferates, no one is safe. When violence against Jews is normalized, there is an increase in violence generally, and especially against other minority communities. The anti-Semitic lie endangers not only Jews, it endangers our very democracy. So since Ye and others keep referring to the dangers of the Jewish agenda, I thought I'd talk a bit tonight about the real Jewish agenda. To be clear, it has nothing to do with controlling the world, or Hollywood, or banks, or the proliferation of diseases in our world. In fact, it's quite the opposite. As I understand it, the real Jewish agenda, the one we teach our learners of all ages here at Betham, is about fostering a sense of pride and joy and celebration in being Jewish. It's about building up Jewish self-confidence. We try to always demonstrate the vibrancy and holiness of Judaism and Jewish life. As we sing in Psalm 118, Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha bo. This is the day that God has made. Let us be glad and rejoice on it. So what is the Jewish agenda? Here are a few highlights, certainly not an exhaustive list. In the book of Genesis, we see one piece of the agenda, justice. It comes as God debates whether or not to share God's plans to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah with Abraham. As part of God's contemplation, we read about God's unique relationship with Abraham. For I have selected Abraham so that he may teach his children and those who come after him to keep the way of the eternal, doing tzedakah umishpat, doing what is right and just, so that the eternal may fulfill for Abraham all that has been promised him. As descendants of Abraham, we Jews are called to do tzedakah, righteousness, and mishpat, justice, to firmly uphold these values even when the forces of the world around us may be pulling us toward hatred or isolation or divisiveness. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, what is involved in being a Jew? Duties of the heart, not only external performance. The ability to experience the suffering of others, compassion and acts of kindness, sanctification of time, not the mere observance of customs and ceremonies, the joy of discipline, not the pleasures of conceit, sacrifice, not casual celebrations, contrition rather than national pride. Next on the Jewish agenda, repair and healing. Consider what we sing in the Aleinu, which moves effortlessly back and forth between the two poles of Jewish thinking, at once a particularistic concern for us Jews, and at the same time a universal care for humanity and the world we all collectively share. In the Aleinu we find another piece of the Jewish agenda, the Taken Olam B'Malchut Shaddai, to repair the world under the rule of the divine presence. Our tradition calls us at the end of every prayer service to the work of repairing the brokenness in the world, guided by a sacred covenant drawn from human and divine meeting. Now, this is not about forcing Judaism or a particular theology on the rest of the world. It's a call to action from a place of ethical monotheism. Regardless of what others do or don't believe, we Jews are tasked to see the humanity and the godliness in other people's views and opinions and beliefs, to leave this world better than we found it, for everyone, not just ourselves. Elie Wiesel, in an essay on what being Jewish meant to him, explained how his understanding of being Jewish evolved from the time he was very young, particularly after experiencing the worst of humanity during the Holocaust. He wrote, "In spite of all that happened, because of all that happened, I still believe that to be Jewish today means what it meant yesterday and 1,000 years ago. It means for the Jew in me to seek fulfillment both as a Jew and as a human being. For a Jew, Judaism and humanity must go together. To be Jewish today is to recognize that every person is created in the image of God, and that our purpose in living is to be a reminder of God. Naturally, I claim total kinship with my people and its destiny. But Judaism integrates particularist aspirations with universal values, fervor with rigor, legend with law. Being Jewish to me is to reject all fanaticism anywhere. A Jew must be sensitive to the pain of all human beings. A Jew cannot remain indifferent to human suffering, whether in other countries or in our own cities and towns. The mission of the Jewish people has never been to make the world more Jewish, but to make it more human." Then there's the Jewish agenda we promote here at Beth Am, adding love and humility to the mix. Inspired by the words of the prophet Micah, our mission states, "We strive to live as a holy community, whose study and practice of Judaism inspires us and challenges us to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God." What is holy? According to our tradition, something that is holy, kadosh, is something that is unique and special, set apart from the rest of creation. This community is a unique space in which we can bring the fullness of ourselves as we connect with and explore our traditions more deeply. We do the work of justice, of caring for our community and the world outside the walls of our sanctuary. We live out our values, whether it's at the ballot box Don't forget to vote by November 8th, or in the way we treat our neighbors. We love kindness, giving all humans respect, care, and dignity, recognizing the spark of the divine in the beautiful diversity of all humanity. And we walk humbly with our God. Whether we are believers or doubters or anywhere in between, we recognize the limitations of what we understand and walk through our world with a sense of humble curiosity, always seeking to learn more from everyone around us. So in this third place, this holy community, we aspire to live out the very best aspects of the Jewish agenda. We are a shelter and a sanctuary in the midst of the tumultuous and broken world swirling all around us. We find ways to support each other and our broader community. We search for the holiness and the beauty in each other and in those who may not look or think or pray like us. For this is the day that God has made. Whether it was a day full of accolades or difficulties, whether it was a happy day or a challenging day, we are called by our tradition to find in it a spark of gladness and joy. And whether you've found that joy or you're still searching for it, this is a place where you belong.